When we have our handwriting lines, we have our two solid lines which the body of the letter sits between. We have our dotted line above and below that give you guidance as to where the stalks and the tails of the letters should go. They certainly shouldn't go above the dotted lines or below the dotted lines, because then the letters will run into the letters on the lines below. On the two solid lines, the bottom line is the base line, and that is the line that all your letters should sit upon. When you're using normal handwriting paper, this base line is the handwriting paper line that you write on. Kinetic letters, we have our monkeys, the brave monkey at the top of the tree, scared monkey at the middle of the tree, and all the letters begin either at the brave monkey or at the scared monkey. In the Abracadabra family, all the letters have the same abracadabra C shape. So this is going to be the first letter that we start to write, and all of the letters in the Abracadabra family start at the scared monkey because they all begin with the C shape. So to start at the C, we're level with the scared monkey, and we're going to begin by pulling round, down and push. I've gone a bit wobbly there. I'm going to start again. I'm going to pull round, down and push. So what I'm looking for in my C is my top and bottom to be in line with each other, not slanted like I am over here, and to have a nice curve on the top and a curve on the bottom. The down isn't completely straight, there's a slight turn because I'm pushing I'm pulling round and then pushing out, but I'm looking for that nice even shape. So start again, up near the scared monkey, and I'm going to pull round, down and push, 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 pull round, down and push. And as always, go back and check my letters. C can be quite a difficult one to get to grips with, particularly when you're first starting out. So as you can see, my first letter is nowhere near the correct shape, it's completely slanted. Second letter is much better, sitting on the line. The rest of them are sitting mostly on the line, but you can see this one here is starting to drop below, this one's slightly above, this one's sitting quite nicely on the line. It's about checking always for size and consistency, looking for nice even spaces between those letters and similarity of shape and formation. If you're not getting it correct, go back, have another practice. So from the scared monkey, pull round, down and push, pull round, down and push, pull round, down and push. You need to work on the C first because this is the basis of all the other letters in the Abracadabra family. So get that C right and the rest of the letters are going to be easier to write. Once you've got the C, we're going to move on to the A. So the A is going to start with the C, but instead of saying the pull round, down and push, we're going to go abracadabra, and then we're going to go up, down, bump and flick. So our A finishes to the right and has a join, and it's a bump, so we have our flick to put that join on it. So here we go again. We're going to go abracadabra, up, down, bump, flick. Abracadabra, up, down, bump, flick. Abracadabra, up, down, bump, flick. If we go back and have a look at the letters, we've got some nice even spacing, but the shapes are a little bit different. My first one, this side's a little bit flat. Here I've got a gap between my up and the start of my letter. I don't want a gap, I want my A to be completely closed. This time I've got it much better, I've got a more rounded shape and there's no gap at the top. And here again I've got the same idea, my flick drops a little bit low. So practice again. Abracadabra, up, down, bump, flick. Abracadabra, up, down, bump, flick. Abracadabra, up, down, bump, flick. After the A, we're going on to the next letter, which again, following this abracadabra to begin with, but this one is going to start from the brave monkey because it's the letter D, so it's got a stalk. So we're going to go for our D, abracadabra, up, and then on up, all the way down and flick. Now because this letter you've got that big movement, it's very easy to do what I've just done here and not to come down the same line that you went up on, and you end up with that gap. We don't want those gaps in the letters, so I'm going to have another go. Abracadabra, up on up, down, bump, flick. Less of a gap this time, but still could use work. Abracadabra, up, down, bump, flick. And this time I've gone up and down the same line. So I'm going to practice that one again. Abracadabra, up on up, down, bump, flick. Abracadabra, up on up, down, bump, flick. Abracadabra, up on up, down, bump, flick. So once you've got the C, the A becomes easy to do, and then once you've got the A, the D is very similar because you're making the A shape, but instead of stopping at the scared monkey, you go all the way up to the brave, all the way back down with that flick on the end. After the D, we have the G. So a G goes from the scared monkey, and we're going to go abracadabra, up, then we're going to go down on down and pull round for a tail. Abracadabra, up, down, on down, pull round for a tail. Abracadabra, up, down, on down, pull round for a tail. G again has no flick, it's got a tail instead because it's not a joiner, because it finishes over on the left. Once you've got that A shape, you're essentially writing an A, but instead of bumping and flicking, you're carrying on down. So we're going to go abracadabra, up, down, on down, and flick. Go back and check your letters. Have we got nice even spaces between them? Are the letters sitting on that base line? Are they similar shape and size? And are they consistent in the way that you formed them? If you've got one or two that aren't quite right, see what you've done wrong and then have another go trying to correct it. So abracadabra, up, down, on down, and curl for a tail. After the G, we can go on to the Q. This is similar again to starting the G, but the finish is different. So we're going to go abracadabra, up, down, on down, and flick, because we want our Q this time to finish to the right. Abracadabra, up, down, on down, and flick. I'll have a look what's gone on here. This one, where I haven't set my pencil in quite the right position, my line has got a bit of a lean to it, so it's not quite forming the shape correctly, so I need to straighten that out slightly. So I'm going to have another go. Abracadabra, up, down, on down, flick. Abracadabra, up, down, on down, flick. Abracadabra, up, down, on down, flick. Looking again for my size and consistency. This one was much better. If I look closely at these two, my letters aren't quite touching between the two lines. So I've got a bit of a gap forming. I'm not quite getting the shape correct. The tail is nice. I've got a nice finish and a nice flick, but I want it really consistent between those lines. So I'm going to go abracadabra, up, down, on down, flick. This one's a much better shape this time. Then we've got two more letters left in our family. We have our O and then our S. So for our O, we're going to do our abracadabra, but instead of lifting off our pen or bumping, we're going to keep going round and stopping. So we're going to go abracadabra, push up and stop, and then we're going to put a little flick at the top. And the O, instead of having the flick when you bump at the bottom, is at the top, for beginning to join to other letters when you finish. So we're going to go abracadabra, push on up and flick. Abracadabra, push on up and flick. Abracadabra, push on up and flick. Looking again, size, consistency. My gaps between the letters aren't very consistent, so I need to go back and think about that. And also they're floating slightly above the line. So we'll have another go. Abracadabra, up and stop and flick. Better. Abracadabra, up and stop and flick. Right. Finally, the last member of the Abracadabra family is the S. Now S is slightly different because this time our abracadabra is not going to fill the whole line like the C. So we're not going to go abracadabra and sit on the base line. We're going to do an abracadabra, but we're going to make it smaller, so it's only going to be half the size of the space between these lines. So we're going to have small abracadabra, pull round to get the S. So small abracadabra, pull round to get the S. Small abracadabra, pull round to get the S. Now this one takes a little practice again, because my first one you can see I did a really tight C, and I also made it very small so the bottom half of my S is bigger than the top. And here again I've got the bottom half bigger than the bottom half is bigger than the top. This time I'd thought about it and I've got slightly more even spacing. What you want ultimately is the C at the top and the pull back at the bottom to be of a similar size. So you're going to go small abracadabra, pull back. Small abracadabra, pull back. Small abracadabra, pull back. Small abracadabra, pull back. And you've got much more even shape. So that is the Abracadabra family.